Seniors, most cardiologists dread the holiday season not because of the cold weather, but because of what lands on your dinner plate. Emergency room statistics reveal a terrifying spike in heart attacks and stroke admissions, specifically on holiday evenings, a phenomenon so consistent that doctors have a name for it. You might think you are safe because you skipped the dessert or took your blood pressure medication, but the real danger is often hiding in the savory, delicious centerpiece of the meal. While you are laughing with family and celebrating the season, specific meats are triggering a biological cascade that turns your blood from a free-flowing river into a thick, sludge-like substance. This condition, known medically as postprandial lipemia, happens silently and invisible to the naked eye, yet it dramatically increases the workload on your aging heart within hours of consumption. Cardiologists warn that for anyone over 60, the margin for error is razor thin because your blood vessels no longer possess the elasticity to handle this sudden surge in viscosity. We are going to reveal the 3 holiday meats that thicken blood instantly and explain exactly why you must avoid them to keep your heart beating strong this season. In this video, we will uncover the science behind these vascular offenders, and stick around because number 1 is so dangerous it triggers a specific heart rhythm disorder named after the holidays themselves. Research sources supporting this video are included in the description so you can review the science yourself. Before we dive in, here's a quick question. How old are you and where are you watching from? Tell us below, because today we're reading every single comment like a detective searching for clues about what seniors struggle with most and responding personally to help guide you. Now, without any further ado, let's begin and get ready because the meat at number 3 is often mistaken for a healthy alternative. Number 3. The Greasy Delicacy, Roast Duck or Goose. The third meat on our list is often chosen by seniors who believe they are making a heart-smart decision by avoiding red meat, but roast duck or goose can be a vascular trap. While poultry is generally considered leaner than beef, waterfowl are biologically designed with a thick layer of subcutaneous fat to insulate them against freezing water, and this fat composition is radically different from chicken or turkey. When this meat is roasted and served, especially with the skin crispy and intact, you are ingesting a concentration of saturated fat that rivals the greasiest bacon. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that a single meal high in this specific type of saturated fat triggers an immediate state of postprandial lipemia, where fat molecules called chylomicrons flood the bloodstream. For a senior, this is critical because your body clears these fat particles much slower than a younger person, leaving your blood in a turbid, milky state for up to 6 hours after dinner. This excess fat in the blood does not just float harmlessly, it physically alters the viscosity of your plasma, making it harder for your heart to pump blood through the miles of capillaries in your body. A study from the Journal of Laboratory and Clinical Medicine discovered that this rise in blood fats causes something called red blood cell aggregation. Your red blood cells, which should bounce off each other like bumper cars, lose their negative electrical charge and begin to stick together in formations that look like stacks of coins. These clumps of cells struggle to pass through the tiniest blood vessels, significantly reducing oxygen delivery to your tissues and increasing the pressure within your arteries. This sluggish flow creates a perfect environment for clot formation, especially if you already have existing plaque buildup in your arteries that narrows the passageway. The danger is amplified because duck and goose are often basted in their own rendered fat, adding an additional layer of oxidized lipids to the meal. Oxidized fats are particularly damaging because they trigger immediate inflammation in the endothelial lining of your blood vessels, causing them to constrict right when they need to dilate to accommodate the increased blood flow from digestion. If you absolutely must have duck or goose, the only way to reduce the risk is to remove every inch of skin before eating and choose the breast meat over the leg, which contains significantly less intramuscular fat. However, most cardiologists advise seniors with any history of heart issues to avoid this meat entirely during the holidays because the acute risk of blood thickening is simply too high. Instead, opting for roast turkey or lean chicken breast provides the protein you need without the massive lipid load that turns your blood into sludge. The difference in how your blood flows after a lean turkey dinner versus a fatty goose dinner is visible under a microscope. with the latter showing significantly slower velocity and increased clumping. But if you think that amount of grease is concerning, wait until you see the hidden internal fat in the next meat on our list. Before we continue, smash that like button and subscribe right now. Don't miss the life-changing tips still ahead. Number 2. The marbled blockage, prime rib or ribeye roast. The second meat on our list is often considered the king of roasts, the ultimate symbol of holiday luxury, yet it represents a catastrophic burden for the aging cardiovascular system. Prime rib, specifically cuts from the ribeye section, is prized for its marbling, those white flecks and streaks of fat running through the muscle tissue that melt during cooking. But that marbling is pure saturated fat, and unlike the fat on a pork chop, which you can trim off, this fat is internal, meaning you cannot eat the meat without consuming the blockage. A study conducted at the Cleveland Clinic examined what happens to the endothelium, the delicate inner lining of blood vessels, immediately after consuming a meal rich in this type of marbled beef. The researchers found that flow-mediated dilation, which is the ability of your arteries to widen and allow more blood flow, dropped by over 40% within 2 hours of the meal. This creates a condition called acute endothelial dysfunction, where your arteries essentially become stiff and rigid right at the moment your digestive system is demanding more blood supply. For a senior, this temporary stiffening is dangerous because it forces the heart to pump against higher resistance, spiking systolic blood pressure rapidly. The mechanism involves the heme iron found in red meat combined with the high saturated fat load, which triggers oxidative stress that deactivates nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for keeping your arteries relaxed and open. But the scientific reality gets even darker when we look at platelet activity. Research published in the Journal of Thrombosis and Hemostasis showed that the specific fatty acids found in grain-fed prime rib increase the stickiness of platelets, the tiny blood cells responsible for clotting. In a healthy young person, this might be manageable, but in a senior with existing atherosclerosis, this increased stickiness can be the trigger that causes a clot to form on a roughened artery wall. This state of hypercoagulability lasts for several hours after the meal, covering the entire period when you are likely sitting on the couch and sedentary, which further slows blood flow. Furthermore, the sheer volume of a typical holiday slice of prime rib often exceeds 12 ounces, delivering a massive caloric and lipid shock to the system that requires a significant cardiac output to metabolize. This diverts blood away from the heart muscle itself to the stomach and intestines, potentially causing angina or chest pain in seniors who have compromised coronary arteries. The metabolic aftermath of a prime rib dinner also includes a spike in inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, which remains elevated for days, keeping your vascular system in a state of high alert long after the leftovers are put away. If you are looking for a beef option, a center-cut beef tenderloin or filet mignon has a fraction of the internal marbling and poses significantly less risk to arterial function. Choosing the leaner cut allows you to enjoy the flavor of beef without subjecting your endothelium to the punishing stiffness caused by heavy marbling. However, the most dangerous meat on our list does not rely on fat to threaten your life. It uses salt and chemistry to disrupt the very rhythm of your heart. Number 1. The sodium bomb, cured glazed ham. The number 1 meat you must avoid is the traditional cured glazed ham, a holiday staple that cardiologists identify as the single most frequent trigger for hospital visits. This meat poses a triple threat to seniors: a massive sodium load, dangerous curing nitrates, and a sugary glaze that spikes insulin, all working together to thicken blood and stress the heart. The primary danger lies in the sodium content, with a single serving often containing over 1,500 milligrams of salt, which is essentially an entire day's recommended allowance in one sitting. When you ingest this amount of sodium at once, your body frantically pulls water into the bloodstream to dilute the salt, causing your blood volume to expand rapidly. Research from the Journal of the American College of Cardiology confirms that this sudden expansion stretches the walls of the atria, the upper chambers of the heart. This mechanical stretching disrupts the electrical signals in the heart, triggering a condition known as holiday heart syndrome, which is the sudden onset of atrial fibrillation in people who may have no prior history of the condition. This irregular heartbeat prevents blood from being pumped efficiently, causing it to pool in the heart chambers and thicken, drastically increasing the risk of a stroke-causing clot traveling to the brain. But the danger extends beyond just the salt. Cured hams are treated with nitrates and nitrites to preserve their pink color, and when these compounds are cooked at high temperatures and ingested, they can convert into nitrosamines. A study published in Circulation Research found that these compounds cause oxidative damage to the blood vessels and increase arterial stiffness independent of blood pressure. This chemical assault is compounded by the traditional sugar glaze, often made with honey, brown sugar, or maple syrup, which causes a rapid spike in blood glucose and insulin. High insulin levels trigger the release of a clotting factor called plasminogen activator inhibitor 1, which effectively thickens the blood and makes it harder for your body to dissolve any microscopic clots that might form. The combination of high pressure from the fluid retention, stiff arteries from the nitrates, and thick, sticky blood from the insulin creates the perfect storm for a cardiovascular event. Emergency rooms see a distinct pattern where seniors arrive with shortness of breath and palpitations late in the evening after a ham dinner, often confusing the symptoms with indigestion. The fluid retention from the ham can also trigger congestive heart failure in seniors whose hearts are already weakened, as the pump simply cannot handle the extra volume of fluid in the system. If ham is non-negotiable for your family, the only way to mitigate the risk is to soak the ham in water for several hours before cooking to draw out some of the salt and to completely skip the sugary glaze. However, switching to a fresh, uncured pork loin seasoned with herbs instead of salt creates a centerpiece that is delicious without acting as a biological weapon against your heart rhythm. Your heart's electrical system is delicate after 60, and the shock of a sodium bomb like glazed ham is simply a risk that no dinner is worth taking. These three holiday meats represent the most significant dietary threats to your vascular health during the festive season. Avoiding roast duck, prime rib, and glazed ham does not mean you have to sacrifice flavor or celebration. It means you are choosing to protect your blood flow, maintain your heart rhythm, and ensure that you are around to celebrate many more holidays with the people you love. Your body has supported you for decades, and during the season of giving, the best gift you can give yourself is a meal that nourishes rather than harms. By making smarter choices like lean turkey, beef tenderloin, or fresh pork roast, you keep your blood thin, your arteries open, and your heart strong. Knowledge is your best defense against the hidden dangers on the dinner table, and now you have the power to choose wisely. Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these three meats were you planning to serve, and what healthy swap will you make instead? Share with us your plans and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.